A phantom thief is haunting the Joseon dynasty, and no one can agree on what he actually looks like. Was he a simple peasant, a devout monk, or a terrifying hair-covered beast? The rumors spreading through the streets were wild, but one truth was undeniable. He was bleeding the rich dry to feed the desperate. Deep within the slums, this vigilante became a legendary savior. Stolen riches secretly appeared at their doors. Among these outcasts lived a humble doctor. There was also Hong, a stunning girl burdened by a tragic past. She was secretly the illegitimate daughter of a powerful minister. Exiled from nobility, she dedicated her life to healing the slum's poor, people who now whispered of nothing but the phantom thief. He did not steal from just anyone. He only stole from the corrupt people in the state. Anyone who was robbed and reported it was known to be corrupt. Because of him, whoever was robbed became afraid to speak, so no one would ask about his wealth. I wish people would ask me where I got all these subscriptions and views, and likes and comments. Please make me proud, guys. What is going on? A policeman searched everywhere for him, but failed and went away. He went to his boss and told him that the poor people in the street called this thief Dong, and the name meant skill. The police were very confused by him and did not know how to arrest him. They considered his case a mystery until the prince arrived. Yule entered and said, "How many times did I say to call me when a case turns into a mystery?" He had a passion for this, for investigations, and pursued any difficult case until he solved it. To catch this thief, he learned a clue. They informed him that the last time the thief was seen was yesterday in the chief inspector's house. A servant reported it. There were suspicious movements in the place. Yule went to see the chief inspector's house to check if he was targeted. If he was robbed, he found everything in its place with nothing missing. The chief inspector was the culprit. He did that himself because if he was robbed, his corruption would be exposed. A guard entered to search around. In the place, he found a drawing Dong left of rice. They realized that the rice sack was what got taken. It was stolen. The people considered him an honorable thief because he took nothing for himself and sent everything away. He stole for the poor and widows. At that time, Yule's mother wanted him to marry someone. She wanted him to marry the chief inspector's daughter, and she sent a messenger to his brother King Q to inform him. Q asked his assistant for help to handle the matter. Later, they met Rim, a quiet and beautiful girl who had a suitor coming. She was supposed to meet him, to see him. Eom turned out to be a policeman from a royal family. With his marriage to Rim, the two families would grow and become united. It was something like a marriage of convenience. Eom was in his office drawing her, and by chance, Rim saw him. Rim was about to fall, so Eom caught her and said, "I did not expect to meet my fiancée here." He introduced her to someone, to his maid. It appeared they had a relationship, and they provoked her with words, so she left them quickly and walked away. On the other hand, Hong went to buy herbs for her sick mother. When she returned, she did not find her in her room, but found her at the river. She was washing her son's clothes that smelled terrible from down the street. Hong sat to help her, and Yoon saw them. Hong's father called her because he wanted her. She interacted with him formally, so he spoke. To her, "Did I not tell you to just call me Dad while we are at home?" He brought her new silk clothes and asked her to wear them because a suitor was coming for her. She told him she did not want to marry and wanted to spend her whole life serving him and her mother. However, he managed to convince her because she suffered a lot in her life. He wished for her to live happily, and serving them was enough for him. Up to this point, Yul sat with his mother while she convinced him to marry, and he knew her feelings. She rejected his work with the police. He agreed to the marriage normally, but on the condition that he confirmed the bride's courage firsthand and appearance himself. He then went to visit them at their house, knowing that the bride's father was corrupt because Dong stole from his warehouses. He intentionally embarrassed them and overstepped his boundaries with them in discussion. In conversation, he ruined the marriage and left. He remembered when his brother Q asked him to be strong and protect them, protect his mother and future wife so they would remain queens and not fail like him when he did not know how to act. To protect his mother, who then resigned, Yule woke up to a bucket of water drenching him, and a woman had done it, drenched him unintentionally. He said to himself, "Am I dead, or what is this terrible smell?" Then it happened. He received dry and torn clothes until his own clothes were washed. He sent his assistant to bring bring him clothes. At that time, he fought with a policeman, and the punishment was that they whipped him 100 lashes because of an error. They thought he was a servant. He cursed the livelihood, dipped in humiliation and insult. Hong saw him, defended him, and spoke to the man. Hong told the man he fought with that Yule was their crazy servant and asked him not to mind him since the day her grandfather died, his condition deteriorated, and they had no money to buy a new servant. The policeman thought she was a noble lady. He thought she was a noble lady because of the silk she wore, and actually believed her. But Yule got annoyed because she called him a servant, so he tried to explain the situation. He wanted to grab the man and hit him, but Hong struck Yule instead. She brought him down to his knees to apologize, and he did not understand how he fell. He got up to fight. He got up to fight with her, so she pulled him by his hand and ran away before they caught them, beat them up, and discovered that she was a servant. Yule walked with with her all the way to understand what she meant by them whipping him, and he understood. He understood the whipping situation from her, and it turned out that not only would he be whipped, but his whole family would be too, because they failed to raise him. Before things got any worse, Hong took her belongings from him and left, but she noticed it was raining and feared for her silk clothes. She went back to stand under a house's roof, and Yule was also standing there, taking shelter from the rain. They continued talking, and she told him that these were the first silk shoes and dress she ever wore, so she feared for them. She kept playing in the rain with her hands and feet, feeling extremely happy. Yule stood in front of her, and all the cold water fell onto him. He told her, "Is this what rain feels like? I feel like lightning struck my back," she told him. She said, "Just come and give me your clothes to wring out so they dry quickly." She noticed it was just a tiny bit of rain compared to the fuss he made. He told her, "My body does not know cold water. I took warm showers with roses my whole life." Hong obviously did not believe him. She mocked him, saying no one would verify his words while he wore such torn clothes. She then adjusted his clothes after wringing them out, and the rain stopped. He told her he would throw away his shoes because they smelled bad. She told him he did her a favor and wore them herself to avoid ruining her new shoes, then walked away in them. He asked her to meet him on the night of the full moon to reward her for defending him. She agreed and left. The assistant who brought Yule his clothes arrived to take him home. Meanwhile, Hong went to see her suitor and found his grandfather sick, so she went in to check on him. Later, she discovered that the suitor was actually the old grandfather, not the grandson. When she confronted the grandson, he threatened to kick her out of her house if she spoke, kick her and her family out of the house they lived in. She had fantasized about the grandson and even named their future children. In her head, she took the shock, went to sit by the river, cried over her shattered dreams, and decided to confront her father to see if he knew who the groom really was. When she went, she learned that her father lived on charity and had absolutely nothing since the day he was dismissed from his position. She asked him about the suitor. He asked if she meant the grandson and if something was wrong with him. She told him everything was perfectly fine and went out. She walked around the houses, agreeing to marry the old man just to please her father. She suddenly found herself. Her feet took her to the place where she agreed to meet Yule, and she found him waiting for her there. She was late for him. She decided that since she would not live a normal life as a wife because her future husband was an old man on his deathbed, she would live her life even if just for one day. She ran to Yule, got close to him, and she told him, "I love you," then left him and ran away. Yule stood completely stunned, not understanding what happened to him, when his guard asked what was wrong with him, and Yule replied that he got robbed, meaning his heart was stolen. He quickly ran to look for her. At the same time, Hong also wanted to return to apologize for what she said, but they did not find each other. He wanted to gift her new shoes because she previously mentioned she only had one pair. When she lost hope of finding him, she returned to her house too. She took out her ghost mask, revealing that she herself was Dong the thief, and she went out to steal again. She left her signature drawing behind. When she tried to escape, the guard chased her. She entered a house, took off her mask, and walked out normally as Hong. At that time, Yule was in his palace and ordered the guard to bring him all the girls who worked as doctors in all of Joseon. He did this to find Hong. She sat folding laundry with her mother and looked completely distracted. When her mother asked what was wrong, she said nothing was wrong. She was just thinking about a book she read yesterday. Her mother asked her to recount the story. She recounted what she actually did to Yule, pretending it was the novel's plot. The mother got annoyed by the character's actions. She asked how she could confess her feelings, especially since she was engaged. Meanwhile, Yule gathered all the women and did not find Hong among them, so he decided to draw a picture of her from his imagination. He gave it to the servant to walk around the town with it and told him not to return without her. As for Rim, who decided to compromise and agree to marry Eom, she found her maid coming to provoke her, so she decided to make her furious and told her that she would marry Eom and was perfectly fine with their relationship and not upset. The maid went to tell him what happened and asked him to find another way to drive her away because the girl was clinging and would not get upset. Eom decided to make Hong's brother's life miserable because he heard him telling his friend that she could hit the target in a second, so he asked them to summon her. He made him stand and place the apple on his head, demanding that she hit the apple while he was dying of extreme terror. She became very nervous, of course, and told Aeom that he did nothing wrong, and if anyone needed punishment, he should punish her. He told her that he was indeed punishing her with this move. She shot the arrow far away and struck the heart of a bird. Her brother was impressed by her because she hit a target smaller than the apple itself. At that moment, Eom's assistant felt that she was a professional and dangerous girl. Later, Yule's assistant went and informed him about the theft that Dong committed and showed him the drawing he left behind. He then learned that on the day of the theft, there was only one suspicious person seen by, the guard, who was Hong the doctor. She was in the market and found the people gathered around a picture in the street. It turned out to be a picture picture of Dong's mask, and she was afraid it was a picture of her actual face, while the guards were already looking for her. She went to act as a lawyer for a woman after the chief inspector caught her with stolen rice and punished her. She confronted them and told him that this woman and her child got tired very quickly and that he was obligated to provide her with rice, not take it from her. He told her he did not care whether they lived or their lives ended. Let them go to hell. Then he left her and walked away. She said to herself, "May God never soften your heart," then went to her house, took out the mask, and headed to the chief inspector's warehouse. However, she was surprised by Yule standing waiting for her on the roof of a house, and he told her not to be afraid because her life would not end now. She could not see who this man threatening her was, and she kept making movements to make him nervous to the point that he doubted himself. She confirmed that he was not really a servant, but a prince, just as he told her. She tried to escape before he revealed her identity, but he told her that he would not chase her at all, and he would introduce her to a royal aide to protect her back because the woman whom the chief inspector punished went to Yule and asked him to leave Dong alone and arrest her instead because she was the one who ate the stolen rice. But he left her alone and even sent her food. Hong did not understand and was puzzled by this crazy prince, wondering why he did not arrest her. Furthermore, he told her he would let her help the people freely without harming the country. The guards interrupted his words, saying they found Dong. She told him, "Oh, you son of a fraud. You kept blabbering all this time just to buy time to arrest me." She climbed down from the roof and tried to escape, shooting the guards with arrows, wrapped in cloth so as not to cause them harm. However, an arrow from his guard struck Yule while he defended her so she could manage to escape. He then went to a certain place to treat his wound, which belonged to Hong. She was surprised that he followed her, so she hid her face, changed her voice, and told him the cafe was closed right now and to come another time. He told her, "Hey girl, are you not the one from the rain and the shoes?" She froze in her place, thinking he knew that she was Dong. But when she realized the conversation was about that, she said, "Oh, welcome. You startled me, man." She tried to justify why she told him she loved him with silly excuses and told him she deserved punishment because of his status. However, he told her that even if what happened was a misunderstanding, she saved his life that day. He said he would consider it a debt on his neck, and because she lied to him and played with his feelings, he would consider this returning the favor. After that, she noticed that his arm was injured, and since she was a doctor, she certainly would not just sit and watch him. She took him, treated his wound, and kept chatting with him, asking him how he got injured like that. He told her it was nothing. He was just helping someone escape because he complicated things, and the person was going to be arrested because of him. He added that since things were quiet now and there was no sound, the person must have escaped safe. She told him that the person he helped escape must be very happy with him now. However, he said that by now the person thought he wanted to turn him in and was probably cursing him to his seventh grandfather. She almost slipped up and told him she did not curse him, but she caught her tongue, handled the situation, and told him to let his doctor check his wound in the morning because she did not apply many herbs due to the shortage of herbs and the large number of patients. He tried to joke with her, so she quickly pushed his hand away and told him that this kind of joking was not allowed here, in the place. However, he assured her that he was honest with her all the previous time, even when he was waiting for her while she approached him looking clearly nervous. He did not lie to her either, then left her and went to his guard who was out looking for Hong. The guard told him he could not find her, so Yule told him, "Shame on you. From now on, talking is completely forbidden because honestly, I cannot stand your face." At that time, Hong returned home and found a royal aide sending all kinds of delicious food to the house of the punished woman, who was very happy with them. Very happy. Hong rejoiced that Yule did not deceive her and would actually stand by her side as Dong. As for Hong's father, by the time she returned home, she found him returning the gifts that came from the suitor after he learned that the suitor was the old grandfather and his daughter would live as a servant with him. The suitor's grandson felt he created great value and importance for himself with the return of these gifts. He became so annoyed that he grabbed his maid and beat her severely. In Hong's clinic, she found that Yule sent her herbs enough for a whole year for her and her patients. His assistant suggested to him that he go visit the clinic and thank Hong for her help to him on that day, and he agreed. On his way, Rim stopped him after going down to the market behind her older brother's back. She asked for his help to hide her, so he took her behind him on the horse while she hid her face. When he saw her, he said, "Girls these days are determined to bring shame to their families." He did not even know that she was actually his sister. Rim thanked him, and he left and went to the clinic where he saw Hong, while she worked and tried to treat a woman experiencing seizures. He helped her hold the woman down, and the doctor arrived, and they moved her to an inner clinic. After they finished, Hong went out to return his clothes that he covered the woman's legs with. She tied it for him because he did not know how to tie it. He noticed that her hand was injured because the woman dug her nails into it while having a seizure. He tore his clothes, tied it around her wound wound as well. He asked about her name and the notebook in her hand. She told him it was the inventory notebook for the herbs the prince sent today. It was clear she did not know he was the prince. She thought he was just an important state official. He informed her he came specifically to confirm that the herbs reached her. She then brought up the prince and told him she heard from the common people that the prince was handsome but an unemployed man who only cared about playing, chasing women, and changing them just like. He changed his clothes every day with a different one. He got angry and tried to defend himself by letting her know that these were all mere rumors and he only loved once. He got annoyed that he justified things to her when he never justified himself to anyone at all or cared about rumors in the first place. Rim's brother entered and did not know Yule. He kicked him out because he saw him hiding a woman behind him on the horse and they prevented him from entering the clinic. A little later, a maid arrived bringing her some junk items, and among them was a book containing the chief inspector's crimes. Yule walked with his assistant at night. He told him that Hong was the girl he searched for. They heard a sound and did not know where it came from. A cotton-wrapped arrow hit Yule, and he knew it was from Dong. He looked and found her, standing on the roof of the house. She threw the book she received to him, but was surprised when Yule threw the book away and informed her he would not act on his corruption, because if he was arrested, that would not fix the corruption of the rest of the rulers. She escaped quickly because the assistant arrived, feeling annoyed by his passivity on the matter. She thought he would change something when he found this book. However, he took this book and showed it to his brother, who was astonished because he was supposed to marry the chief inspector's daughter, so how could he want to expose him? Although the relationship between him and his brother was tense, he decided to help him with the matter. He went outside and found his mother running to him. They learned that the last time he came to visit her, she refused to meet him because he rejected marrying the chief inspector's daughter. The next day, people asked Hong to read the new flyer that the police hung. She learned that they arrested the chief inspector, confiscated all his properties, returned them to their rightful owners whom he robbed, and exiled him from the kingdom. The people celebrated the decision, and she was happy too because she knew Yule cared about her, unlike what he said. After that, she went to water the trees and met the grandson of the old man she was going to marry. He asked her to reject the marriage because she would live a difficult life in their house, and his brother vowed to make her life miserable as soon as she entered the house because her father made the matter personal against him. She left him and walked away. At the end of the day, she went to sit on a house roof near Yule's house. When he saw her, he asked her why she was there. She told him she came to return his robe's tie and sat watching the moon. He sat with her, and they continued contemplating the beauty of the night. He stated that he did not like it at all. However, she liked the night because it made her see all her small life worries. When he asked her about her worries, she kept evading him and played dumb. She thanked him for his help to the woman whom the chief inspector humiliated because of the rice. She asked him to leave before the house owner arrived and insulted them. All this happened while she did not know he was the prince at all. He asked her if there was someone in her life. He requested to meet her tomorrow because he wanted to get closer to her. She became very nervous and did not know what to tell him. However, she told him that she would marry soon. At that time, the suitor's grandson arrived and asked her about the reason this person was here at this late hour. Yule asked her to let him introduce himself, so Hong tried to silence him. The grandson spoke and told her, "Does this man know you will marry someone who reached 70 years of age and is bedridden?" She silenced him and stated in front of Yule that the grandson was her lover and they would marry soon. She told the grandson that Yule was a police aide and she did not even know his name. She asked the grandson what brought him here so late. He told her he came to supervise her, his love, and see what she did behind his back. Her brother suddenly entered, unable to see straight and unaware of why he came. She went inside with him to sober him up. Yule spoke with the grandson. He told him that the word supervision was used by people like him who guarded the public. He asked how he could say such a word about his lover. The grandson replied with more ridiculous talk about Hong. Yule was about to hit him, but Hong intervened. She tripped the grandson and asked him to leave because people saw them and thought they had a love triangle. She demanded not to see his face again. He walked away feeling sad about her treatment when he only wanted to defend her in the first place. Hong apologized for what happened with the grandson. Yule acted arrogantly because he thought he helped her to avoid embarrassment in front of her lover. She told him not to humiliate her and challenged him to go tell the grandson if he wanted to. He threatened her that he would make her pay a very high price for this behavior, then walked away and left her. The next day in the market, people only talked about what they saw yesterday. Q wanted to appoint Hong's father to the position of chief inspector. He asked the grandson's father to inform him because they were friends. was. He actually spoke with him, but Hong's father refused the position. He told him to inform Q that he was still sick and could barely move. The grandson's father managed to provide him with a job at the school to suit him and his family. The grandson's father walked away feeling very happy. They learned that if Hong's father agreed, he would have killed him, proving what a great friendship they truly had. After that, Yul lived in a state of chaos and tried to get out of the situation he found himself in. He asked the doctors to explain his condition. The news reached Hong, and she said that he might suffer from depression. She returned home, held the ribbon he tied her with last time, felt sad, and remembered her words to him from the last time. Yul wanted to see her, but his assistant told him it was impossible and begged him not to cause problems out of fear of getting beaten. Hong's father went to her, told her about his new job, and informed her that he would travel before the wedding ceremony. She felt this was better than him knowing who the suitor truly was. Eom decided to end his engagement to Rim. He went to speak with his father. They learned that he was actually the son of a maid, but no one knew this secret except him and his father. He just acted arrogantly toward people, thinking of himself as a pure prince. When his father learned about the engagement termination, he hit him, got angry, and left him. Eom walked away and went to the market. He saw Hong standing there, smiling at the items she purchased. He got angry, knocked her to the ground, took her aside, and told her that someone like her was supposed to be miserable, not standing around smiling like that. She told him that no matter what he did, she would not cancel the marriage. It was merely a deal for her, and she did not consider it a real marriage. She left him and went to gather her belongings. Yul saw her. He helped her gather them, pretending he arrived by chance. She kept looking at him and turned her face away when she cried. Yul asked her about what happened and the date of her marriage. She told him it was in 10 days. He planned to get close to her. He realized the time was very tight, so he asked her about the things she liked. She tried to explain to him that she was engaged. He told her that her fiancé did not deserve her and that he was the only one who deserved her. He could not tell her that Eom insulted her in front of him. She tried to evade him, so he spoke bluntly and asked her what he should do to make her love him and understand the reason behind her actions toward him. She replied that she did not want him to do anything, left him, and walked away. He followed her. He told her that he knew she evaded him out of fear. He stated that he knew she did not love her fiancé because if she loved him, she would not be standing in front of him right now. She confessed that she agreed to an arranged marriage that suited her situation and that all her life she knew that love was not the most important thing for her because of her circumstances. When she saw him, she decided to escape for a moment. She escaped her reality, which caused what happened, but she did not want to live in another fairy tale. Yul felt confident she lied as she became more nervous. Hong asked him not to follow her and walked away. Yul stood in front of her and told her that he was the one she rejected. He asked her why she was upset. Hong was surprised that the more she pushed him away, the more he held on to her. It was clear to her that he was very serious about his feelings. She did not fear hurting him and insisted on rejecting him. Yul got annoyed and walked away. He left her. Hong could not move out of sadness and remained seated in her place. On the other hand, Hong's brother learned she would marry an old man and got upset, but he could not speak. He could not speak with his father about his decision. The next day, Hong's father traveled for his new job. Yul felt frustrated and sad, sitting alone on a boat. He looked like the prince of the seas. The guards tried to cheer him up and talk to him about work, mentioning a new case. Dong stole something else, but they suspected that this time was different from what they saw before. At that time, Hong treated the homeless children. She realized they were hungry and made them food. Someone requested. A mute child asked her to help him, but she only had a plate of food, so she gave it to him. The child tied a thread on her hand as a gift. Later, he went to Yul, took money from him, and tied the exact same thread. He tied the thread on Yul's hand. The date of Hong's marriage arrived. Her brother got angry and told his mother the truth. She was shocked to learn Hong would marry the old man, the sick man. Her mother refused, but Hong insisted and tried to convince her. Hong went out, heard her mother crying, and felt sorry for herself. Meanwhile, Eom canceled his engagement to Rim. When Hong was about to leave for her husband's house, she found a gift. Yul left her shoes as a gift and left. At that time, Yul stood watching the rain and thought about the past. He thought about what happened between them. Hong refused to wear the shoes and hid them. Eom saw her while the servants moved her to his grandfather's house. Eom remembered his father's words about her, saying people like her were inferior and lacked dignity. He decided to act. Eom tried to prevent this marriage, but his father stood in the way. Eom decided to pull her out of her carriage and break it. He screamed at her, but she slapped him. He asked her, "Am I a punching bag? Why does everyone always act this way? Why does everyone always come to hit me and walk away?" She did not reply to him and walked away. She reached the groom's house and discovered the truth. The groom's life had already ended. They also found the imprisoned chief inspector. He was murdered. Poor Yul sat alone, feeling wrong, and his assistant brought him a drink. His assistant brought him a drink to comfort him. Meanwhile, Hong was at the house and heard news that Yul would leave his job because of the situation. She heard Yul left because of what happened. People talked and said that Dong was the one who killed the chief inspector. She wanted to verify. She wanted to verify this herself, so she wore the mask and went out. However, the police saw her while she tried to escape, and she fell onto the roof. She fell onto the house's roof and suffered a serious injury. She threw the mask into the well before the guards saw her and lost consciousness. When she woke up, her voice changed. She felt something was strange and did not remember why she was there. When she looked at her reflection in the well's water, she was surprised by her appearance. She found that her head was severely injured and she lost consciousness again. At that moment, at that time, Yul paced back and forth in his house, entirely confused. He did not understand why he could not wake up from this dream. They later learned that Yul's soul entered. Yul's soul entered Hong's body, and Hong's soul entered Yul's body. Their souls swapped. Hong did not know where she was, so she went out, met Rim there, and asked her. She asked Rim where she was. Rim told her she was in the royal palace and treated her as Yul. Hong did not understand how she ended up in the royal palace. She did not understand this because she only knew Yul as a police assistant, not an important figure. She asked Rim to help her get out since she knew her way around the palace. When she got out, she thanked Rim because she helped. Rim helped her. While holding her hands, Rim flirted with her, thinking she was Yul. Before Rim left, she introduced herself and stated she was the sister of Yul's boss at work. Hong told her the resemblance was beautiful, then quickly ran away, while Rim lived a silly love story. Rim was just imagining things. Hong, now in Yul's body, went to the well to check on her own body in case she got arrested. She worried she would be arrested while Yul's soul was in her body. She found the police managed to locate the mask, and the investigator told her. He told her that Dong killed the inspector general. Hong tried to clarify to the investigator that the most Dong would do was steal a sack of rice or a couple of pasta bags at most. But ending someone's life was highly unlikely. She reminded him of last winter when they arrested troublemakers stealing silk who lied. They claimed Dong stole it for them. The investigator agreed and mentioned that the merchant remembered their faces, clearing Dong's name. Furthermore, there was another incident. Someone claimed Dong kidnapped the chief inspector's daughter, but it turned out she ran away with her teacher. The investigator was actually convinced. He was convinced that everyone committed crimes and blamed Dong. Hong agreed with him and asked if they found anyone unconscious. She asked if they found anyone unconscious around there. He replied that they did not find anyone, then asked if Yul was okay, mentioning he knew that today. He knew it was Hong's wedding today, which was why he felt sad. Hong then remembered herself and quickly went to her house. She found her body there, and it was clear a doctor came to see the wound on her head. When she tried to wake her body up, it did not wake up. She became afraid that she was a body without a soul and that her life ended. She panicked and kept shaking her body quickly until she woke up. When Yul, who was inside her body, saw her, he thought he returned to his own body again. She told him that was not the case. He woke up and said, "If you returned to your body, you would. See yourself standing in front of you." He told her, "I do not want much nonsense. How did you get hit like this? My head hurts a lot. May you get stabbed in your stomach." She tried to evade the topic and said she went out while it was dark, so she tripped and fell, bumping her head. Yul then stood up, not understanding the mourning clothes they dressed Hong in. He did not know that her husband's life ended and that she was now in his house, which became her house since she married him just yesterday. When Hong sensed someone approaching them, she told Yul she would hide because she was in his body now and no one could see her there. The person turned out to be Aem. He told her, "Are you still alive? I thought I would come carry the corpse and leave." Yul told him, "Shame on you. Is this something you say to your new bride?" He naturally said this based on Hong's previous words that she told him her groom was Aem. Yul told him, "It seems you two had a big fight yesterday." Hong cried in the corner because of the mess Yul made. However, Aem corrected him and said, "Wake up. The husband you speak of lost his life yesterday, and I am his grandson." Yul understood that this grown man was the grandson, meaning the husband was around 70 years old. Yul got very upset about what she did to herself. He asked Aem to go receive the condolences and requested that no one visit him at all, since as a woman, she would not need to receive condolences herself. Aem walked away with the guard. Yul called Hong, who was hiding, and took her to talk in a distant place. There, she told him the full story. "You know it. I married the grandfather, and he died right after our marriage yesterday. I told you the grandson was my husband, so you would give up on me faster," he told her. "The only thing stopping me right now from pulling you out of this family is that I am not in my body and cannot act. However, the moment I return to my body, I will ruin this family and we will get rid of their annoyance." They sat thinking about how to return to their bodies. They felt extremely nervous because this was a phenomenon they witnessed for the first time and never heard of in their entire lives. They thought this was a divine punishment. They decided to visit a sorceress to resolve the issue. However, Yul felt very annoyed and told her there must be a medical explanation. "Are you not a doctor? Do something." She told him to remain quiet so they could solve their problems. worse. The sorceress opened the conversation by telling him, "You are a womanizer." Yule got annoyed, picked himself up, and left. He then thought that the bodies swapped, not the souls. They kept performing rituals together. None of the rituals succeeded. They had another idea that they swapped bodies during the curfew hour. They thought their souls might return today at the same time, making this just a one-day nightmare. They went to the exact place where their souls swapped. They visited the same place at night, but their souls did not swap back at all. They were surprised when some guards arrived to talk to Yule's body, which contained Hong. She did not understand anything except that his mother wanted him to go to the palace right away because she needed him urgently. Yule dismissed the guard, telling him, "Go, and I will follow you now." Yule sat with Hong to make her understand that he was the prince, not just anyone. She became extremely nervous, not knowing how she would act when she met his mother or his brother Prince Q, or how she would speak to them. Yule told her, "Act normally. I already have a bad reputation with my family. The most important thing is to fold your arms behind your back, straighten your back, show them an arrogant facial expression, and act like a man." Yule went with her in Hong's body. His mother asked Hong about the girl who accompanied him yesterday while he held her hands and looked very happy with her. Hong honestly remembered absolutely nothing and winked at Yule to whisper who this woman was. He told her, "Are you asking me? My body was with you yesterday. If you do not know, who would?" Hong then remembered that his mother meant Rim. She got nervous and told her, "It was my first time seeing her, and I do not know her at all." Yule winked at her to maintain his dignity. His mother then stated that she would summon this girl and interrogate her herself. She asked which family she belonged to. Yule told Hong to quickly play dumb and not say anything about her. Hong replied, "I went out with her just once, and that was it. I do not even remember her name." The mother got angrier and said, "You also do not know her name. My son became a womanizer and lacks manners." She felt dizzy and was about to faint, acting dramatically. Yule quickly rushed to catch her while in Hong's body. He told her, "You are already not feeling well, and you also went on a hunger strike because of me." This was what Yule always told his mother, so the mother found it strange. She asked who this girl speaking exactly like her son was. Yule caught himself and told her that because of spending so much time with Yule, she started speaking exactly like him and memorized his words. When his mother asked who she was, Yule replied that she was the new maid. He just said any name that came to his mind. After that, they sat in the royal room and agreed they could not stay together all the time because people would talk. Each of them wrote their life story for the other in a notebook, including the important people in it so they would know how to interact. At that time, Hong's mother went to visit her at her husband's house and secretly asked Eum to let her see Hong. He agreed, but when they opened the room, they did not find her inside. Hong was done with Yule, and her body was supposed to return to her husband's house. Just as Yule jumped the fence in Hong's body, he found two people he did not know. He opened the notebook and was surprised to find that they were Hong's brother and mother waiting for her. Her mother asked to speak with her. Yule learned she was a very kind woman whose only concern was to see her daughter happy after she suffered in her life all the time. She left him some money she borrowed in case he wanted to run far away where no one could ever catch him. However, Yule promised her that she would live the rest of her life without any more suffering. At that time, Hong was walking in the palace in Yule's body and saw herbal smoke pouring out of Q's room. She saw that this was very dangerous and wanted to go in to save him rather than fight. However, she remembered Yule's words to her that she was forbidden from entering Q's room. Still, she was very worried about him. When she tried to enter to remove the herbs, Q woke up to her voice arguing with the servants. He let her in and asked, "So, you want to inspect the herbs?" She said yes and opened all the windows in the place for ventilation. Just as she was about to reach for the herbs, Q yelled at her and asked, "What are you doing?" She explained to him that if any treatment was used too much, it caused many dangerous side effects, and the right thing was to use a specific treatment and stick to an ointment. Q told her, "Wow, believe it or not, I am so touched by your words. Now get out of my face." At that moment, Hong finally understood that their relationship was tense and she should not have done that. When she left his room, she remembered the topic of Dong and how chaotic things were to the point that she had not thought about it. She kept wondering if Dong was arrested or not, and she did not even know how to leave the palace to check. Meanwhile, Yule attended the burial of her husband, who died the moment she set foot in his house. Yule found his brother's maid coming specific to her father to tell him that Q threw away all the incense she placed for him to kill him with. Yule, inside Hong's body, wondered why they brought up his brother and what incense they were talking about. Then he snapped out of it when he heard people in the street saying Dung was arrested yesterday after being shot with an arrow. He quickly went to see the corpse, but it turned out to be someone he did not know. The news reached Hong in the palace, so she covered her face to sneak out and see what was up with this Dong corpse. She got into into a fight with someone there whose face was also covered. She was surprised that it was Yule in her body after their face coverings flew off. Yule then told her that when he woke up, he found himself in her body and saw Dong's mask. In the well, he put two and two together and knew she was Dong. At that moment, she apologized to him for hiding it from him, so he told her, "Do not worry about it. I am happy to see a beautiful woman like you helping the poor. I should be the one thanking you." However, they did not understand why people claimed the corpse they found was Dong's. Yule told her they definitely did that to close the case and present to the people, a suspect they would accept. Yule then warned her against stealing again, because if she repeated her actions, she would be arrested. When Yule returned to her husband's house in Hong's body, he was surprised by the husband's son receiving news that she was with a man all night. Yule defended her, stating the man she was with was her brother, and taught him a lesson in morals because she was in his mother's position now. After that, Yule saw Eom sitting alone, so he went to make his life miserable and told him, "Your father has absolutely no manners or taste, and it is clear you are the same based on your attitude toward me. From now on, you are my grandson, and I am your grandfather's wife. There will be nothing between us but respect." And that is it. On the other hand, Hong in Yule's body tried to mend his relationship with his mother. She treated her well and thanked her for raising him. At that moment, the mother asked about the girl who was with him yesterday and wanted her right now. Hong quickly went to her house to get Yule, who was in her body, to speak with his mother, because if they turned the world upside down looking for the name she was searching for, they would not find it. Because Yule used a fake name for herself at that time, not her real one, Hong took Yule and went to the palace. There, he met Eom's father. Yule hid her face so he would not see her. Suddenly, he called out to her to give her something she dropped, and she did not know how to take it from him, so he would not see her. Yule's assistant saved them, telling her, "Go quickly because Yule's mother wants you," and took the dropped item from him instead. At that moment, Hong, in Yule's body, asked about the type of incense they lit in Q's room. Since she was a doctor and understood these things, she would definitely know what they were talking about. He told her the type, she thanked him, and left. Yule was with his mother in Hong's body, and she asked him to keep an eye on Yule and see which women were around him all the time, especially the girl he ran with in the palace 2 days ago, who was Rim. She was already breaking off her engagement and knew people would talk a lot about her in the coming period. When Hong finished speaking with Yule's mother, she was exhausted and very tired. She could not believe seeing a bed in front of her to sleep in. Yule was beside her and understood how exhausting moving all day was, which was why she fell asleep in a second. When she woke up, she found Yule sleeping on the table next to her. She kept contemplating him until he woke up, and she said that the idea of swapping souls did not turn out to be too bad. After that, the assistant entered, so they swapped their places and then went out. Yule asked her about the incense conversation she had with Eom's father. She told him, "Yes, I forgot to tell you that I entered Q's room, which you forbade me from entering. I smelled a strange incense there, which was why I inquired about the incense's name." Yule noticed that his brother felt he was getting older and could no longer do without the incense. However, the truth was that this incense turned out to be mixed with a type of drug. Q's maid was the one doing that under orders from Eom's father. There, she saw the people creating a memorial for Dong in the street and placing items there to help the poor. She said to herself, "Let the name fade away with death." She went to visit Yule's mother and told her that his condition improved and he started reading books as well. She went out and Eom saw her in the palace. He followed her and asked her what she was doing there. He dragged her to the house and was surprised by Yule and Rim standing, talking, and sharing their reading hobbies with each other. It turned out they had many things in common. However, the truth was that these commonalities were actually between Rim and Hong herself. When they saw Eom dragging Hong and approaching her, they were surprised. Eom realized Yule was the prince and demanded that he show respect. When Yule asked Eom where he was going, Eom said he was going to settle family matters. Hong, in Yule's body, was very afraid for him, fearing they would hurt him, and sat extremely worried. She sat worried until his assistant arrived and told her, "Is this not the same girl you ordered us to pave the road for when she went to her husband so no one would drop her while carrying her? You kept walking behind them, feeling happy, afraid her shoes would get ruined from the rain." At that moment, she was deeply moved by his words and decided to go to Yule, who was in her body at her husband's house. She found them arresting him on charges of smuggling Dong, while she was held at sword point on charges of being Dong. At that moment, her heart and his heart hurt at the same time. In a second, each of them returned to their own body, knowing each other's circumstances. Yule quickly escaped to the place where he last left Hong. The moment he saw her, he ran to her and said he was afraid he would return and not find her, or find her soul back in her body. She told him she refused to leave so they would not lose each other like last time, and kept waiting for him. When he asked her who drew his sword on her, she told him a bandit. Thought she was Dong. Because Yule was a prince surrounded by guards day and night, he never encountered these scoundrels. At that time, all the guards were her turning the world upside down looking for them, accompanied by Eom. However, the assistant found them, and the assistant wondered how they met this quickly, as if they knew each other's locations. They ignored him completely, and Yule asked her privately where she got the secret document containing the chief inspector's corruption. She told him she found it while he was trying to burn it, but it fell into her hands and did not burn. After that, Yule asked his assistant to escort her. He actually did so and went to tell him that she was very nervous. After that, Yule summoned Eom's father. He kept insulting him because he was spreading rumors that Yule was the one who smuggled Dong. He told him that he and his brother were united regardless of the problems between them and warned him not to act on his own. He then went to Q, who told him the exact same words. Eom's father felt that the brothers were conspiring against him. After that, Yule went to test the incense that Hong described. To him, his assistant was very suspicious of their relationship, feeling it was impossible for them to understand each other without even speaking. They tried to evade him. They went to talk together alone in the field about this soul-swapping incident and how they returned. Hong told him she did not do anything special for them to return to their bodies and that it was just a normal coincidence. He asked her, "Did you do anything while in my body that I need to be careful of?" Her reply to him was that it was just a few simple mistakes and there were no accidents. Later, he left her and went to his mother to complain about Eom's disrespect toward him. He told her Eom was about to hurt him, obviously referring to when he was in Hong's body. He wanted to take revenge on him and exile him out of the country completely. His mother told him that if Eom bothered him, they would finish him off. However, he did not want to fully stain his mother's hands. He asked her to let him handle Eom himself. After that, he learned that a plague spread in the country and Dong's corpse, which they buried, disappeared. He ordered his guards to turn the world upside down looking for the owner of that wound. His assistant told him, "Why are you looking for Dong? Is it not supposed that Dong is Hong herself?" Yule tried to cover up the shock he just received and told him, "No, of course not. How could a woman be a thief in this country?" However, the assistant caught on to them a long time ago, was very focused, and managed to prove to him that Hong was Dong herself. Yule begged him not to report her, telling him, "If you report her, I will go down with her." Also, because he had covered for her, and at that time he would lose his job and his family would be very upset with him, he told him, "I lost my parents and I was 10 years old, but let me ask you now, what do you want to do about Hong from now on?" He said that since they were partners in the crime, he was forced to protect her, even if it cost him his life. That was Hong before Trim. Hong had decided to help them in their work as doctors, and they kept chatting. They told each other the stories of their lives. When Hong returned home, she found her little brother Yulo determined that he wanted to rob them, even though all he had done was ask whether their father was home or not. So she said to him, "Sweetheart, what the F? Our house couldn't even cover the price of the dress he's wearing. Leave the man, it's shameful." She left him, and afterward, she apologized to him for how she had treated him. She apologized for her behavior and for assuming that Dong the thief would come and turn them in. Life had become harsh these days. Later, he learned that she had broken off her engagement, and he grabbed him because Steve knew that this was their scheme and that he did not want a traditional marriage like those arranged just for appearance. So his father swore he would beat him and treat him like a lowly slave. He beat him until he bled. No one in the town looked after him. They locked him in a room alone with no food or water. Hong saw his wounds and secretly sent him medicine through the housemaid behind his father's back. And when he thanked the servant for the medicine, the servant told him that Hong had stayed up all night preparing the herbs for him. As soon as he went out, he bit the hand that had been extended to him, pushed her away roughly, and said to her, "Are you going to pretend you're part of my family or what? Don't meddle in matters that don't concern you." She replied, "Do you think you're the center of the universe, boy?" She said, "Did you forget that I am a doctor and that is my job? I treat anyone who is injured." He then warned her not to try to establish roots in that place, so she would not become attached to him, so he could leave easily. He left and walked away, while she did not understand why he behaved that way. Later, Im's father agreed with his older brother that they would get rid of Hong, and by chance, Yulo suspected that something would happen to her. He went to the mansion and indeed found Hong's brother attacking and beating her. Yulo intervened and threw the knife into a tree, saying, "Sorry, I meant to hurl it at her in my fury, but it hit the tree. If it had hit her, I would not make the same mistake twice." He went to take the knife, then became frightened and ran away. Im's brother wanted to follow him to finish him off, but Hong stopped him because she did not want him to ruin himself over a scoundrel like that. She prevented him because she did not want him to waste himself on such a vermin. He treated the wound on her cheek, gave her a note, and told her that he wanted to marry her to free her from that ungrateful family. He wanted to marry her, but she told him, "I am a widow, and you are the prince of this town. If people found out, they would attack you and insult you." He told her that he did not care what anyone said, and reached out his hand to marry her. But Im appeared and told her she could not agree or marry except until she died in that house. Then Yulo suggested they duel with swords, and that whoever lost would ensure Hong lived and died in her house. And they began the duel. Hong's father then entered, stopped the farce and spoke with her. They went into a room and he kept beating himself because he saw that what had happened was due to his failure in raising Hong. Her brother entered, defended her, dragged her out of the room, and wanted to beat him himself. But their mother intervened, protected her, and took her out. Afterwards, Hong walked through the market feeling unable to bear herself. She saw the fair and heard a woman tell her daughter to ride the swing and toss her worries into the sky. Hong rode quickly, perhaps to throw her worries into the sky, and came down still burdened, all while Yulo watched her. He walked behind her, knew she was upset, and kept watching her like that for a while until she pinched him and asked, "Why are you watching me?" He replied, "So that if anything happened to you, I would be nearby and could save you." We then learned that he had been the one who sent a message to her father to come and rescue her from that sham marriage. When she was not upset, she laughed with him normally and told him that she had known from the first time that he was watching her. That palm was impossible to miss. At that time, An and Hong's father were walking in the street and met his cousin. He said, "You are a good son. I was just about to come to your house because I need you for something." And he asked him to buy the plot of land that had been taken as Hong's dowry so he could free her from that marriage. Afterwards, An spoke with his daughter and asked her to value herself and not disgrace herself with a marriage she was expected to endure because of their poverty. He told her not to ruin herself for a marriage she was supposed to continue in because of their poverty. Then he left her to prepare dinner and walked on, where he found the marriage proposal thrown on the ground. Yulo saw it by chance. An went specifically to Yulo to talk with him about the man who usually flirted with his daughter and insisted he was ill and wanted her to write him a prescription. She learned from him that he knew about her separation, and now he was going to visit her mother and pressure her about Hong's marriage. She felt very nervous. She left him and walked on, and a man disguised in women's clothing stopped her in the street and begged her for help. Yulo saw him and wanted to tear his throat out, but Hong told him she knew him and that he was from a nearby village and wanted her to come treat them. The plague spread widely there, and Hong actually went with him. Yule refused to let her go alone, but she also refused to let Yule enter the plague zone. She left Yule far away to avoid infection. When Hong returned to him, she found him playing with the children and feeling happy. He asked about the cause of the plague. She told Yule the water they drank for a while was contaminated and caused the plague. On their way, they met Eom's father, and he made a request. He asked Hong to go treat the patients while he spoke with Yule man to man. He then brought out a marriage request. He asked Yule not to meet his daughter again and said he would not allow her to enter the royal palace as a wife. Yule tried to convince him that Yule would protect her even if he had to leave the palace entirely, but Eom's father refused. Then Eom's father left Yule and went out. Yule found Hong just returning and asked her what she did there. She told him passionately, and he kept smiling at her. He told her he wanted to hear more. He wanted to talk with her more that day. Hong was very surprised and did not know why Yule acted this way. She did not know Eom's father told Yule to stay away. He ruined the love story before it even began. Later, Hong left Yule and searched for the gift he gave her. She did not find it and went out to search. She searched outside, and Eom's father saw her. He asked if she lost something and mentioned he heard she was with Yule in the plague village. Hong told him she saw Yule there and that he helped and was a very good man. Eom's father told her to stop being foolish. He said Yule only acted as a prince and nothing more. He reminded Hong that she promised to live her life serving him. He told Hong not to think about marriage and then left her. The next day, Yule's mother sent a message to Rim. She asked to meet Rim. When Rim arrived, she found the mother wanted to arrange her marriage to Yule. Yule stood there feeling wronged by what happened. Yule tried to explain to his mother that she misunderstood and nothing existed between them, but she was determined to marry them. She wanted the wedding by tomorrow afternoon at the latest. Yule was forced to tell her the truth and said he loved another woman. The mother became very angry. She ordered her servant to send for Hong. Hong was in the village where the plague spread and found a very large amount of rice. The rice was sent so the people could regain their health. Hong knew Yule was the one who sent it, though the people thought the rice came from Dong. Hong went to thank Yule, but the guard informed her she could not see him then. She left and went with her mother to a temple to meet the priestess. The priestess knew Hong's mother well and met Hong for the first time. The mother left them together and went to pray for her children. The priestess spoke. She told Hong about her father's life before he was dismissed. He was a good man who protected everyone, even the priestess. She told her. She asked Hong if she knew why her father became poor. She explained that in the year of Gyeongju, a massacre occurred. People called it the Year of Bloodshed. At that time, the prince almost lost his life because of advice. Advice from Eom's father, who shared his opinion then. The prince was convinced that Eom's father intended to end his life. With that advice, Hong's father saved the prince's life. Since then, the prince trusted no one but Hong's father and dismissed everyone else. They lost their positions, and the prince appointed new people, including Eom's father. When Hong learned this, she was shocked by Eom's father's cunning. She thought her father lost his position because he interfered in matters that did not concern him. Meanwhile, Eom's father learned about the village where the plague spread. He decided to execute the sick residents and burn the entire village. He sent Eom with the soldiers to carry out the order. When Hong learned what happened, she rushed to wake the people to save them. Soldiers shot flaming arrows, and an arrow targeted Hong, while she saved a small child. When she decided to surrender, she found Yule behind her, saving her from the arrow. The hero. He arrived and brought light to the world. At that time, Yule's guard stopped the arrows and informed the soldiers that the prince was inside, and if anything happened to him, they would all be in trouble. Eom went to speak with him, and Yule blamed Eom's family's greed. All these people almost lost their lives. Yule told Eom not to make him regret sparing him last time and warned against more trouble. He would deal with the father later. Yule insisted on staying in the village to guard it himself and ensure nothing happened to them again, especially since his beloved was with them. He stayed up with her all night and told her about his trauma with the sea. He almost drowned as a child, but woke up on the shore. Apparently, someone saved him and left him. The next day, they all prepared to return. One of the residents gave them some rice and said Dong was the one who brought them the rice. Yule looked at Hong with surprise, wondering if she did it again behind his back. She told him to just eat the rice. She told him to enjoy it and be quiet, then took him and left. She returned home, took out Dong's clothes, and asked God for help. She put on the all-black outfit and moved across the house roofs. She tried to hit Eom's brother with an arrow because he was unjust and told the people of the village that they were monsters and that he would finish them off at any time regardless of the circumstances. He was terrified for his life. He feared his life would end because Hong followed him everywhere and hit him with harmless arrows. On the last arrow, she wrote a note that he must go apologize to the people of that village or suffer the consequences. He actually got scared and went to apologize to them one by one. He was ashamed of himself, along with Eom. When Hong found out, she went outside and found Yule waiting for her. He told her that his hand was injured and he wanted her to treat it. She said he wanted to kill her a while ago and now wanted treatment, but she agreed. She bandaged his hand and wanted him to leave, but Yule was clingy and stayed with her until Yule arrived and told Eom that if he came to apologize, he should finish quickly and leave. Eom showed him the arrows he had, which Dong used to hit him and his brother. Eom said he saw these arrows before with Dong, and now he was injured by them. This meant that Dong was still alive and near them. Eom vowed to investigate this matter himself and walked away. Yule felt annoyed because Hong acted on her own without consulting him. He asked her to let him handle things from then on. He later decided to leave the country permanently and informed his mother. Hong searched for the marriage document she lost. Yule arrived and reassured her that they destroyed all the evidence regarding Dong. Therefore, no one would reach any conclusion. He stated he did not do this specifically for her, but because if anyone found evidence, he would be an accomplice in the crime. She told him that in the past, she went to the market with her father every once in a while. He taught her archery. When she grew up, she discovered that the days he took her out were always the days before he traveled for war. If he got injured or something happened, this would be her last memory with him. This way, they would be alone, and she could protect her mother and brother. Before Yule spoke, Hong saw a lantern and became excited. She remembered it was a day when they lit lanterns. They let the lanterns fly, something like Rapunzel in Korea. They bought a lantern, and Hong wrote her wishes. They flew it together and felt happy. The next day, Hong met Rim by chance and learned their parents arranged many marriages. Yule rejected them entirely and now planned to travel abroad. Hong was shocked by the news. Yule hid from her. Before she spoke, she saw her brother carrying Yoon on his back with an arrow stuck in him. He asked her to treat him since she was a doctor. Hong became very nervous and afraid. She approached him and found his life ended. She pulled the arrow from his back and lost consciousness. Yule caught her in that moment. News reached Yule at his house. He learned his older brother Q did this. Hong realized it was Q based on the shape of his arrow. Before the funeral, she went to the hill and took her spear to hit Q inside his procession. At that moment, she shot the arrow, but it hit Yule instead. Yule went to catch up with his brother after waiting for Hong for 4 hours at her house to see her. He discovered from the assistant that she was not home. The arrow from Q that hit her father was missing as well. Q did this because Yoon lost his mind after the procession rode over the farmer's crops and ruined the harvest. Moreover, Q wanted to continue the hunting trip. He decided to silence Yoon forever and shot him with that arrow. Actually, Q did not intend to do that. Because of the incense, he suffered from hallucinations and thought he saw a tiger he wanted to hunt. Because of his actions, that same arrow almost hit Yule. Yule arrived and caught Hong before she finished off the whole procession. Yule made her understand that if they caught her, they would not forgive her, her mother, or even her brother. Even her father's body would be desecrated because of her behavior and recklessness. They woke her up, and later she returned home to attend the funeral. All the people were very sad about Yoon. Hong was completely devastated. Yule woke up 5 days after his injury. He discovered his brother was in a coma as well because of the incense that he could no longer do without. The first thing Yule did after waking up was visit Yoon's grave. Hong arrived by chance while he was there. When she saw him, she was so shocked that the apple fell from her hand. Yule picked it up for her. He told her that forgiveness forgiveness was in heaven, and he did not expect her to forgive him. She asked him to leave, and he stood far away. He stayed behind her until she finished and followed her all the way to escort her. However, she did not accept his presence. She told him that her mother and brother could not even despise the one who ended her father's life. This was because he was the king, and hating the king was considered treason to the country. She could not even break down and cry, so her family would not falter. Yul wanted to get closer and comfort her, but Aem suddenly appeared and prevented Yul from speaking to her at all. He made Hong leave. Yul said he was fine, sarcastic about his heart where the arrow hit. He thanked Aem for the question he never asked. Yul's mother continued. She continued delusional wedding arrangements with Rim. Meanwhile, Yul's assistant told him the arrow that hit him was Q's arrow. It was the arrow that finished off Yoon. They demanded to search Eun's house and family members. They demanded the arrow that killed their father to clear their names. Hong's brother told them they would find it. Hong interfered and said she threw it away because she could not stand to see it. At that moment, Aem entered. He asked her where she threw it to save herself. She said she threw it in a water bucket. He prepared himself. He prepared an arrow to pretend he found it himself and handed it to the police. Hong got out of it easily. She went after Aem to thank him. She asked about the person who was hit by her arrow, but Aem told her she was either foolish or pretending to be, asking who else could return a royal arrow of that price. She realized the arrow lodged in Yul's heart and that he was fine now with nothing wrong. She told Yul she needed a couple of slaps to wake her up because she felt lost. At that time, she spent the whole night sitting in the clinic remembering the arrow, and her heart ached over what happened. She remembered the way she treated Yul while he was willing to sacrifice his life at her hands so she would not be imprisoned. She heard the sound of the door opening and went down. She found Yul downstairs and thanked him for what he did. He reassured her about his condition, and she apologized for the pain she caused him. Because of this, Yul thought they reconciled, and he stayed by her side like her shadow. Wherever she went, she found him standing there, training his heart muscle. As seen here, she eventually told him, "Come here, you fool, let's talk. I understand your feelings." But he interrupted her and told her not to spoil the moment. He said he was with her until she forgot, and that he would not lie and say he would travel, as he was staying for her now. Later, she left him and went to meet the priestess, who welcomed her as Dong. Hong's mouth dropped in shock, and she asked the woman who she was. She discovered then that the priestess gathered all the people who suffered from Q's injustice, and they knew for certain she was Dong. They wanted her to get their rights and her own right back from Q. The priestess managed to convince her that if they changed the man holding the throne, the whole world would change, and the poverty and injustice the people suffered would vanish, especially under the name of Dong. Dong became known as a savior to every sick or hungry person. At that time, Q woke up from his coma, and the first word he said was that they should summon his soldiers and go arrest his younger brother Yul to interrogate him. The news reached Yul. With lightning speed, he arrived to stop the investigation before they broke his bones. He asked Q what he was doing. He asked Q to leave his relatives alone. Q replied that he was trying to get Yul's right from the man who wanted to end his life, but Yul shut him down. Yul told Q, "The man who is going to end my life is standing right in front of me. Every bit of misery started with you." At that moment, Q drew a sword and placed it on his brother's neck. On the other hand, Hong arrived. She was surprised to hear from her mother that they arrested her brother. She ran to save him, but Aem stopped her, saying they had no evidence and would release him. Quickly, her heart ached intensely, and she was surprised that her soul swapped with Yul again. She was now in Yul's body, and he was in hers. She saw the sword at Yul's neck. Inside Yul's body, the devil tempted Hong to end Q and rid the people of his injustice. But the mother entered. The mother stepped between them and took Q's maid, and they returned to his room. The priestess's words did not leave Hong's mind. About Q wanting to end the entire population, she calmed herself and went in to talk to Q while in Yul's body. She found him screaming while her hand itched for the sword, but Aem entered with Hong's body, which held Yul's soul. They provided justifications that it was impossible for the brother to have done it because he was terrible at archery, and they had military test results to prove their words. After the release order, Hong and Yul went to reassure Yul that she would not end his brother because death was never the solution. Afterward, she took her brother home and went for a walk with Yul. They agreed that each would protect the other's life and do their job normally, and they would meet every day at 8 o'clock. The next day, Yul went in Hong's body to the clinic where she worked to do her job with full health and vitality. He was surprised by the number of patients inside and told himself that they should set up a private clinic for her later. He continued to help the doctors and discovered that life as a girl was difficult when wearing dresses as he kept tripping. He kept falling on his face, so Rim helped him tie the dress properly. She was surprised because this was something all girls knew, wondering how she forgot. He thought Rim and Hong were not friends, so he waited until he met Hong in his body and asked when they became friends. She told him that Rim was the sister of her boss at work and joined them since that day, so they became friends. She asked how work at the clinic was. He told her not to worry worry about it. It was fine. Yule felt that this secret they carried and the mess they were making required sharing with someone to help them all the time. They decided to tell Yule's assistant, who was shocked upon learning and thought they had gone crazy in their minds. The assistant wanted to get away from them, but Yule caught him and told him to come back, saying that getting out was not as easy as getting in. They continued to tell him about things they did while in each other's bodies last time, which the assistant used to find strange. He still insisted that they were playing a prank on him and did not believe it until Yule said a word that no one else ever said to him except for Yule. At that moment, the assistant believed them and stayed close to Hong in Yule's body all the time so that she would not mess anything up. When she reached the palace, Eom asked to see her and told her to be careful because there was an assassination attempt on the way for her. Eom told her he warned her and it was up to her, then left. The next day, Yule in Hong's body was in the clinic chatting with Rim for a while. He learned she liked him and asked her to forget that person completely since Yule told her there was someone in his life he could never forget. He went out to go meet Hong, who was waiting with his assistant, but he found a very sick young child. When he walked with the child, who led him to his sick siblings. All of them had high temperatures. At that time, Hong arrived by chance when Yule was late for her. She turned out to know the children and started treating them herself. Rim saw them and was surprised by the prince's medical abilities, which was indeed a strange thing. Hong made an excuse that he took medical courses to ensure that there was no waste of resources in the clinic. Hong entered while containing Yule's soul, and she acted like a man and started lifting her clothes. They were both shocked by what she did. They signaled her to be calm and adjust the dress. The next day, they took the children after they made sure they were well to play in the river, and they were happy with them as if they were truly their children. They learned that these children had a fever because of the spoiled food that they ate. Yule decided to take care of all their expenses until they grew up, or put them in a facility like an orphanage to care for them there. At that time, Rim was with Yule's mother and told her that Hong, the doctor, would steal Yule from her and urged her to act. The mother remembered the dress incident and when Hong signaled to her and she actually became suspicious. She sent for Yule, who contained Hong's soul, to meet him and told him about an old situation between them. He said he remembered, but she had actually made up this situation to test her suspicion that he changed. She was shocked when he said he remembered and asked him who he was exactly. Hong sent Lee to come in her body and they explained the matter to her as well, just as they did with the assistant. The girl was going crazy from what she heard, but there was nothing for her to do except believe them. The next day, the mother sent for her son to meet a maid from his father's old servants. When Hong went in Yule's body to see her, she found she was the same priestess who wanted to remove Q from the throne and take revenge for her son who was killed unjustly. She came specifically to tell him that she missed him and wanted to see him. At that time, one of those who agreed with Hong to finish off Q and remove him from the throne met her and took her to a meeting that only talked about Q. Of course, it was Yule, but in Hong's body. He sat in this meeting acting like someone who had a bucket of ice water poured on him. He also learned from them that they wanted to finish off Q and frame Yule for the crime. When Yule asked the priestess, pretending to be Hong, why they wanted to frame him, she told him that people called him a spoiled, trivial, and wasteful boy with no personality, so it would not matter much. The meeting ended and he went, running to find Hong, who was in Yule's body, and told her that they wanted to frame her, which would classify her among the traitors. He wanted to take her and flee outside the country, but when she did not want to go with him, he told her that she was then on their side. He informed her that he would not be a rebellious king and would stand by his family and always support them. He walked away and left her and stayed all night writing the names of the rebels he met yesterday. He went the next day to leave the paper for Hong and informed her of his plan and left. Hong kept pacing and thinking while she deduced everything that happened since the start of these problems. Her investigations led her to realize that the Secretary General, Eom's father, was behind everything. From the moment he finished off the chief inspector and framed Dong, he then made a fake corpse for Dong to claim that he got justice. He kept giving drugged incense to Q in agreement with his maid to make his brain slip and act like the insane. Then Hong, in Yule's body, sneaked into the Secretary General's house and was surprised that he was trying to finish off Q's maid. She saved her quickly. She took her away, although she almost clashed with Eom, who took the order from his father. Yule's servant spoke to them so he would bring them a horse and come. The maid recognized him, and when Hong asked how she knew him. She said she loved him in the past and was going to flee with him, but she refused because she wanted to be a woman of status in the country. She stated she never regretted not fleeing with him. When they arrived, she thanked Hong a lot because she saved her from the Secretary General and his son who were going to finish her off. When she entered Q's room, she broke the sensor in which the drug was put and told him to leave everything to her, promising to save him. Eom ran to the Secretary General while saying, "Father, father, hurry." Yule came and saved the maid. He told Eom that they were playing with his life and told him to go to his older brother. He told Eom to say that if anything happened to the father, he should execute the plan they agreed upon. Q waited to be summoned. 2 hours passed, and the guard arrived to inform him that his king wanted him. He went to his room and found him asking him to sit on his throne and smell the incense. But Yule refused and kept apologizing to him a lot. He asked for his forgiveness, but he really wanted to finish him off, though his hand betrayed him and kept trembling. At that moment, the Secretary General took the opportunity and told him he had not taken the incense for half a day. He reminded him that he brought him to the palace so servants would help him, and that without him, Q was worthless. He said Q would spend the day trembling, and by tomorrow he would kiss the foot before the hand to find the incense. He added that all Joseon would witness his madness, and no one would want him. A mad king like you to sit on the throne. The only one who wants you sitting here is me, your loyal follower. Q threw his arrow and did not look at the secretary, but he ordered his guards to punish him and the maid as an example. Withdrawal symptoms from the drugged incense continued to appear on him all the time while he remembered the Secretary General's words. He got angry at the dancers who acted clueless and started smashing the room over their heads. He asked to meet Hong, who was in, her body containing Yule's soul. He asked her, "Why are you the only one who is good, even though your father was a worthless man?" She replied, "Because he raised me and taught me not to treat people based on their education and financial status, so I did not become shallow like you." Generally, in the capital, people are suffering from the officials there, and outside the capital, people suffer from the plague and die one after another. They leave their children without shelter. This should be your duty, to provide people with treatment and a clean place to live in, but you only care about nonsense. He mocked her words and said, "I will hold a feast because there are still people loyal to me like you, even if you are truly a servant like your father." Hong felt sorry for the dancers whose feet were broken from spinning so much in the room like clock hands, yet they were the Sultan's prisoners. Aem forbade them from drinking and eating, and they lived only to perform shows. She went to sit alone in a place to think about what to do. Yule, carrying Hong's soul, entered while she was worried about what her body was doing with King Q. Yule told her they had to kidnap the dancers of Q to save their lives. Hong said she had to talk to his mother to help her with this matter. Hong went in Yule's body and told her what was happening. She said she would help save them, and if discovered, they would say his mother did it, as she is. Ultimately, his mother. They made a plan and put sleeping pills in the food for all the guards. Hong and the assistant entered to take out all the dancers with the assistant and hand them over to Yule outside to smuggle them by boat out of the country. When Q woke up and found himself alone in the room, he took his horse and went out with the remaining guards to chase Yule and the dancers. They managed to find them and shot flaming arrows at them. Yule stood not knowing what to do, because even though he was in Hong's body, he had not learned archery. But he was surprised by arrows coming from a distance, highly accurate in their aim. It turned out Hong arrived to defend them after learning they were caught. Her presence made it easier for them to escape quickly as soon as they boarded the boat. The dancers could not believe they were free from their torment and threw their clothes in the sea. To stop the pursuit, Hong shot an arrow with a note at him, saying, "If you continue to chase them, the next arrow will hit your heart." At that moment, he stopped his guards and went to take a dip in the water to perhaps sober up. As soon as he came out, he asked to meet the Secretary General, who was released from his bonds but refused to flee and decided to wait, certain that Q would ask to see him, as he would not endure the withdrawal symptoms. He ordered him to finish off the maid, but he disobeyed, so he ordered the soldiers to imprison Aem, to never see the sun until he himself ordered his release. On the other hand, after Yule escaped and helped the dancers escape, he met Hong. She asked him if he changed his mind about finishing off Q, but he told her, "I can never do that to my brother, and I also can never let you live as a thief." He went to the priestess in Hong's body and said, "I will create a world where I am no longer forced to live as a thief." At that time, one of the servants went to Hong, who was in Yule's body, and asked her to go to a certain place to receive the royal relatives. She actually went, mounted her horse, and left, unaware that this was a trap set by the Secretary General to finish her off and throw her into the sea, assuming she was Yule. At the moment she was struck, their souls returned to their bodies. Souls swapped when each was in great danger, and the other had to save them quickly. The likely reason behind the connection of their souls and bodies was the paper bracelets they wore on their hands, which they bought for each other at the market. When Hong's soul returned to her body, she went quickly to the last place her soul occupied in Yule's body and saw blood splatters on the ground. She thought they might have thrown him in the river, and since she was also a skilled swimmer, she jumped into the water to search for him with hope of finding him. That hope increased when she saw his hat, but she did not find him. She expected that since the current was weak today, his body would have settled in this area. She went out to search for him and actually found him there, unconscious. She moved him to the place that had the plague outbreak to treat him there away from the capital. She stayed by his side without moving while she was afraid his life would end. But he woke up after a few days, and her joy was boundless. He thanked her for saving his life. The assistant entered, shouting at him for letting her go to the river alone. Then Rim arrived, thinking their souls were still swapped, and entered boldly, saying, "Yule, my dear, what did those scoundrels do to you?" But she was surprised that their souls returned, and she apologized to Yule for treating him as a normal friend. After that, Yule stood up to return to the palace, determined to take real revenge for what they did to him. Hong tried to stop him, but he told her, "I accidentally saw the world through the eyes of a poor woman." Yule saw the despicable state of tenants thrown into the streets and children dying from the plague. No one felt their pain, and Yule understood why that poor woman became Dong one day. Afterward, Yule went to his palace and terrified the Secretary General's eldest son, who acted as if the palace belonged to his father. He treated the ministers poorly, so Yule decided to punish him. Hong spread the news across Joseon that the Secretary General's son tried to kill Yule. When the time for punishment arrived, Q asked the son if he acted alone or if someone helped him. The Secretary General replied that the criminal acted on his own and no one ordered him to do anything. He stated that beheading would be a suitable punishment, selling out his own son in the most despicable way possible. The guards dragged the son to be executed. Afterward, the Secretary General begged Yule to forgive his son, but Yule replied that God would compensate him with other children. Yule went out to meet Hong, who brought him food. She was surprised that he went out while sick. He informed Hong that his doctor allowed him to leave today, so she invited him to eat. She brought him a chicken and fed him. Then they walked together for a while. Yule told Hong that he wanted to meet Aeom since he noticed Aeom disappeared completely. Hong said she knew Aeom's location, and Yule sent a message to Aeom. Before Hong spoke, Aeom asked why she was there, warning that the Secretary General would kill her if he found her. She realized Aeom did not know about the disaster that befell his brother. Hong told Aeom that Yule wanted to tell him not to be sad upon his release. When Aeom asked what happened outside, she said he would know soon and left. At that time, the Secretary General visited his eldest son in prison before the death sentence was carried out. He promised his son an escape soon, left him a meal, and ordered the guards to leave the cell. As usual, news reached Yule since walls have ears. As soon as the Secretary General left, Yule learned that his son ended his own life. Aeom went to Yule and said his brother did not do that, but that their father gave him a poisoned meal to kill him before the execution took place. The father's excuse while burning the clothes was that he did it to keep the corpse intact and avoid a messy burial. After the Secretary General finished off his eldest son, he only had Aeom left to use to finish off Yule. Aeom agreed, but did not remain quiet. He went and told Yule as well, and provoked Yule. Yule declared they were enemies from that day on, stating he would work to annihilate Aeom's entire family from Joseon, from the eldest to the youngest, regardless. On the other hand, Q had nightmares about the person who shot arrows at him on the day he chased the dancers. Q woke up with a fixed obsession in his head to catch the archer. Aeom took charge of this task with the guards and went with them. He saw the arrows wrapped in cloth and recognized them as Dong's arrows. Aeom knew them by heart. Then a royal flyer was released with Yule's picture, claiming he was Dong and ordering his arrest. The flyer reached Yule, who became furious at Aeom's actions and confronted him. Aeom coldly replied that Yule was royal, so in the worst case he would be exiled rather than killed. Meanwhile, Hong saw the flyer and went to hand her mask to Aeom. She confessed she was Dong and told Aeom he should arrest her instead of Yule. She cleared Yule's name, sat with Aeom, and told him the whole story. She informed Aeom that Yule was helping her by keeping her secret. She appealed to Aeom's feelings, suggesting he was kind like Yule and cared for the people. She asked if he would spare her. Aeom was already suspicious from the start, so he released her. Hong then went to Yule. Yule said he was confident Aeom would not arrest him, but warned Hong not to intervene like that again. She agreed, but asked to go rest. When she reached her house, she found Rim waiting to check on her after she learned from a man from the plague village, a close friend of Hong, that she had been arrested. He held a flyer, so Rim realized Hong was Dong. The man slipped up, so Rim came to ensure Hong was safe. Afterward, Yule and Aeom sat together with a curtain between them, discussing how that small girl could be Dong while Aeom stayed silent. Aeom said he should have broken her legs. He wondered how she was the one shooting arrows the day the dancers escaped, as witnesses described Dong as tall, yet she was very short. He asked if the witnesses were blind that day. Yule asked why Aeom put his picture on the flyer if he knew. Aeom apologized, saying he made mistakes sometimes. Aeom stated he believed Dong was a woman since anything was possible now. Yule told Aeom that their souls also swapped whenever one of them was in danger. Aeom replied that he must not have slept well. He decided to act as if the meeting never happened and go to sleep. At that time, Q's maid traveled to buy the drug for the incense herself because the person who previously bought the material was the Secretary General's deceased son. Yule learned about her trip, Yule decided to travel to the town with his assistant. Hong felt very worried and asked her brother about that place. He told her the town was frozen and the weather was extremely harsh. He mentioned his own ears used to freeze while he was there. Hong went and bought ear warmers specifically for Yule. She wanted to give them to him as a gift. Yule was also concerned about the cold. When Hong reached the port, the boat had already departed. She borrowed arrows from someone. She shot the arrows onto the boat's deck. At night, Rim knocked on Hong's door and said she had a patient who needed urgent treatment. When Hong went, she found the first escaped maid, and the authorities searched everywhere for her. The poster for Dong's arrest. The poster reached the Secretary General. He immediately ordered the arrest of the entire team that wanted to topple Q, including the priestesses. They all agreed not to confess against Hong, regardless of the punishment, as she was their only hope. They hoped for Q's fall. After Q beat them all, he ordered Eom to hang the priestesses at night. He ordered the execution during the curfew in front of the palace gate. He vowed to do this every day until Dong appeared. Yule felt sad for them, but was certain. Yule was certain that if this continued, Hong would surrender herself to save their lives. He went to reach her before she did that and told her. He told her he had a plan. He took her and locked her in a room. They then asked her to forgive him for any past actions that upset her. Yule sent a message to his father claiming he was Dong. His father sentenced him to death, while the priestess faced execution. Eom arrived carrying Dong's mask. An arrow struck Eom's hand and he dropped the mask. He saw Hong. Hong was on the roof. Eom remarked that she would never listen. The Secretary General saw her on the house roof. The Secretary General ordered her arrest and the soldiers chased her. Eom and Yule's assistant wore masks to distract the soldiers from Hong. She lured the Secretary General to the Chief Inspector's house, where the inspector died. She threw him the papers proving he was behind the drugged incense. The papers proved he drugged Q. The Secretary General was shocked and asked how she knew, but she did not answer him. The guards entered to arrest him because Q hallucinated that the guards were tigers and killed them. They arrested the Secretary General. When Hong tried to escape, the guards chased her because they suspected she was Dong. Yule reached her while wearing a mask like the others. He told her he identified the type. He identified the incense and its name. Before he finished speaking, someone knocked on the door and Q himself appeared. Q searched for Dong with the guards. Yule wanted to go out to them, but Hong prevented him and spoke. She told him she would never allow him to sacrifice his life for her. She knew a meeting was taking place and that the country would be fixed and return to normal without injustice. She wanted to go out herself, but Yule prevented her. He told her that if she was caught as a rebel, they would tear her to pieces while she was alive. They went out together, and Yule met his brother. He told Q that he brought the incense Q loved. Then the soldiers moved quickly around them as if they caught Dong. Yule was surprised by the masks. The masks hung on all the houses to support Dong. Q became enraged by the sight and ordered his soldiers to kill everyone. He ordered the death of anyone who hung those masks and decided to live alone with his incense. A guard arrived with a message from Dong. The message stated that Q was deceived by a traitor and used incense that caused addiction. Q thought the sender was a madman. Q thought the person lacked taste, but Yule told him the words were true. Yule said he searched and found the name of the incense that caused Q's madness. Q did not even notice. He fell into a fit before hearing Yule's words. He saw a tiger and went to chase it. Yule ordered the soldiers to go. He ordered them to follow Q and return him to the palace before he hurt more people. They lured him until Q found himself in the palace. His mother cleared it of all servants so they could manage him. He saw only Yule holding a sword. Q thought Yule did all this to take the throne. They engaged in a sword battle with each other. Yule knocked the sword out of his brother's hand. When Q went to retrieve it, an arrow pushed the sword away. Hong appeared because she heard the swords. Hong interfered, as she always did. Before Q attacked her, Yule put the sword to his own neck. Q's hallucinations returned, and he saw a black tiger. Hong insisted that what he saw was merely an illusion until the tiger disappeared. Q was shocked. He realized he spent all that time chasing a non-existent thing because of the incense. He fell into a fit of laughter and sat. He sat on the ground. The next day, they removed Q from his position and appointed Yule as the new king during the celebrations. Finally, the people had a king who felt for them. Yule's first decision was to release anyone who was imprisoned because of Dong. He exiled the Secretary General, branded him as a servant, and bid him farewell calmly. Hong knew Yule worked day and night without rest until his nose bled. At that moment, she came specifically to see him. She knew their meeting would comfort him and increase their love. During the last 10 days, Yule never slept and sent her a message every day to reassure her. He wished she was sleeping safely. She entered and stayed with him. Hong brought Yule medicine to drink and rest, but Yule fell asleep and had a nightmare that their souls swapped and Hong died. Yule woke up terrified, so Hong reassured him it was just a nightmare. She made him drink the medicine and left him sleeping. Hong thought about how their souls swapped only when one of them was in danger. Suddenly, the Secretary General stopped her in the street. He told Hong she ruined all his plans as Dong. Hong broke broke the glowing bracelets that lit up during soul swaps to prevent future swaps. Hong remained in her body, refusing to put Yule's life in danger. Meanwhile, the Secretary General left a message for Yule. The message stated, Yule must come alone to save Hong. They took Hong to his house where he scolded her for her actions. He told Hong he thought she was from an insignificant family and let her play, but she was not easy. He made a dark confession. He revealed he ended Yoon's life and framed Q's hallucinations. After Hong heard this, she put pine pollen on the fire. This substance turned into a deadly poison and caused paralysis upon touching fire. Both inhaled the smoke and became very ill. Yule arrived at the right moment and entered to save Hong before she died with the Secretary General. However, Hong fell into a coma. Doctors stated that her waking up depended entirely on her own will. Hong's mother collapsed, but went to check on her, certain that Hong would wake up again. When the townspeople heard, they all prayed for Hong because she was a loved and very strong person. One day, while Yule sat by Hong talking to her as usual, she finally woke up. Yule rejoiced greatly and stayed by Hong's side to feed her and take care of her. He asked Hong why their souls did not swap this time despite the danger. She said she broke her glowing bracelet. She suspected it was the cause, and it turned out to be true. Their souls might never swap again. Yule felt sad because of this. He wanted their souls to swap during danger so he could handle it himself. Meanwhile, Hong sent a message to the Secretary General. She told him he was now a servant like her, and they were of the same class, asking if that lowered his value. She said she would not take revenge for her father's death. She would leave him to live with his guilt and self-loathing every day. The Secretary General took his paralyzed leg and threw himself into the sea to end his own life. Yule learned what happened. Yule asked his assistant to deliver the man's belongings to Eom. Then Yule went to offer condolences and reassured Eom about Hong. He told Eom that Hong was fine and asked if Eom was leaving. Eom said yes, revealing his mother was a servant. Eom said he lived without attaching to anything until he saw Hong caring for her family. He used to hide behind his status. He said the situation made him feel inferior, which was why he treated Hong poorly. Yule replied to him. Yule told Eom that Hong said she owed him her life, a debt no one could repay. Eom rejoiced and told Yule to take care of her. Eom threatened to find Yule if Hong shed a tear, but said he would leave without a farewell now. Later, Yule's mother sent for Hong. She asked Hong to be Yule's private servant, but Hong refused, saying she could not stay in the palace because of work outside. Hong left her, and Yule followed. He gave Hong a plastic ring he won in a luck game. He asked Hong to be patient until he established himself and they would marry. Hong rejoiced as well. She said she would wear the embroidered shoes Yule bought her and wait until he came for her while she wore them. She told him he must eat well so they would not both fall. She lived her life normally with her family and neighbors. Everyone knew she was Dong and talked about her heroics. Many guys started to admire her. Pretty girls often attracted bad guys. One handsome man at her work asked if she was involved with someone. Yule interrupted them and said it would be a big problem if the man knew whom she was with. The man withdrew respectfully. Yule took his beloved Hong on a river trip. She told him she was here once with a child who fell from a boat. She saved the child's life. Yule told her she saved her future husband's life as a child. She remembered he mentioned that. She was shocked by the destiny that brought them together long ago. The next day, Hong wore her outfit and the embroidered shoes. She went to meet Yule in the fields. They were happy together without any major problems. Final. The series ended. See you in another series. Peace.